The vampire king didn't just defeat her father. He burned their kingdom to ash. The sky over Valerian had glowed red for 3 nights straight, and the smoke did not clear for weeks. Towers collapsed like broken bones. Royal banners were torn down and trampled beneath black boots. Her father's generals were executed at dawn, their armor melted to their skin by cursed fire. And when the last scream faded, when the final gates fell, when the royal crest of her house cracked under the heel of a conqueror, the vampire king did something no one expected. He did not slaughter the last heir. He did not parade her in chains. He asked for her hand in marriage. The court called it humiliation. The world called it cruelty. She called it revenge waiting to happen. Princess Alara of House Daimir stood in the ruins of her own kingdom when the proposal was delivered. She did not cry. She did not beg. She did not bow. The messenger read the decree with shaking hands. By order of King Lucian Vane, ruler of the Northern Dominion, the surviving heir of House Daimir shall be escorted to Blackthorn Palace and wed within the month. It sounded less like a proposal and more like a sentence. What the world did not know was this: Lucian Vane was already dying. The curse had begun to rot him from the inside long before he burned Valerian. It moved through his veins like black frost, silent and patient. Centuries ago, Alara's ancestors had not just waged war against the Vane bloodline. They carved something darker into it, a curse bound by blood and oath. It whispered through every generation: every Vane king will rot from within, and the moment he loves, the curse will hunt her first. Not him, her. Every king who dared to love lost the woman before sunrise. So Lucian made a decision centuries ago. He would never love. He would never allow anyone close enough for the curse to claim. He would rule alone, cold, untouchable. Until the council forced his hand. Because when Valerian fell, the council did not fear Alara's survival out of mercy. They feared her bloodline. A fallen dynasty always breeds rebellion, quietly, slowly. They planned to execute her within weeks and claim it was an accident. Clean, efficient, strategic. Lucian knew. So he did the one thing that would make her untouchable. He asked for her as his bride. By binding her to the throne, he placed her above execution. By crowning her queen, he saved her life. But he would never tell her that, because if she hated him, the curse would sleep. Alara arrived at Blackthorn Palace dressed in mourning black. The palace itself rose from the mountains like a blade carved from night. Its towers cut into the clouds. Its gates were guarded by creatures that were not fully human and not fully shadow. When she stepped through the entrance, whispers followed her like smoke. Enemy's daughter, war bride, future traitor. She did not lower her gaze. Lucian watched from the throne balcony as she crossed the hall. She moved like a queen even in chains of expectation. Her chin was lifted. Her eyes were fire. She wore no crest, no jewels, no sign of surrender. Good, he thought. Hatred is safer than affection. The wedding was brief, political, cold, no kiss, no celebration, just vows spoken under ancient law. When Lucian placed the crown upon her head, the hall felt colder, not because of power, because of tension. She did not look at him, not once. That night she hid a blade under her pillow. She memorized the palace corridors. She studied guard shifts. She planned his death, but something confused her. He never entered her chambers, not after sunset, not even by accident. Guards stood outside her door every night, not to trap her, to protect her from him. Alara began noticing strange patterns. Servants who bowed deeper to her than expected. Documents signed in Lucian's name that ordered increased security around her quarters. Physicians assigned quietly to monitor her health. It felt less like imprisonment and more like protection. She hated him more for it, because protection from an enemy is manipulation, or so she believed. Weeks passed. Then one evening she found something that shattered her restraint. Letters sealed with Lucian's crest. Orders bearing his signature, execution orders, her father's name, her generals' names, each signed in black wax. Her hands trembled, so he had personally ordered it, the destruction, the slaughter, the burning. The blade under her pillow was no longer symbolic. At night, during a private supper arranged by tradition, she poured poison into his wine. She did not hesitate. Lucian watched her pour it. He knew He drank it anyway. The court gasped when he collapsed, but he did not die. His veins turned black. His skin cracked like stone splitting under frost. His breath slowed until it almost stopped. The poison did not harm him. The curse did. It awakened violently. Alara rushed forward despite herself, catching him before he hit the marble floor. Glass shattered beneath them. Her palm sliced open on the broken crystal. Blood spilled across his chest. The reaction was immediate. The black veins retreated, slowly, painfully, like something inside him recoiled from her blood. The curse shrieked inside his body. Alara stared in horror. This was not weakness. This was disease, this was rot, and her blood was stopping it. Lucian opened his eyes, barely conscious. He looked at her not with anger but with resignation. "You should not have done that," he whispered. "You burned my kingdom," she spat back, tears burning. His voice was quiet. "I burned the infected cities your father sacrificed trying to break my curse. If I had not, the plague would have reached you first." The words hit harder than any blade. Her father had known, had tried to break the curse. The letters, were they real or forged? Lucian closed his eyes again as guards rushed forward, not to arrest her, to protect her. And that was when Alara realized something far worse than hatred. She did not understand the truth, and if she did not uncover it soon, the council would kill them both. The court did not speak of what happened that night, but silence is louder than gossip. By morning, the story had already twisted into something else. The queen had poisoned the king. The king had survived. The curse had shown itself, and now the palace felt like a living creature holding its breath. Alara stood alone in her chamber, her sliced palm wrapped in linen, staring at the faint golden scar that had formed where her blood touched his chest. It had not healed normally. It glowed faintly when the moon rose. That terrified her more than the poison had. Lucian did not summon her the next day. He did not accuse her. He did not threaten her. Instead, the council did. They entered her chamber dressed in silver-lined robes, their expressions polite but sharp. "Your Majesty," one elder said smoothly, "it is fortunate the king survived your error." Error. As if poison were clumsiness, as if murder were etiquette, Alara held her chin high. "If I meant to fail," she replied coldly, "I would not have chosen such a weak attempt." The elder's smile tightened. "Careful, girl, you wear a crown, but you are not yet untouchable." That was the first crack, because untouchable had been Lucian's promise, and promises inside vampire courts are weapons. That evening Lucian called for her privately. No witnesses, no counsel, only them in the dim throne chamber where torches burned low and shadows climbed the walls. He stood near the great window overlooking the mountains, his posture steady but thinner than before. The curse had not vanished, it had retreated, waiting. "You read the letters," he said without turning. "Yes, and you believed them. They bore your seal." Lucian finally faced her. His eyes were not angry, they were tired. "The council controls the seal when I am weak," he said calmly, "and I was weak." The words shifted something inside her. "You expect me to believe you did not order my father's death." "I ordered the war," Lucian said, "not the slaughter." Her throat tightened. "He tried to break your curse." "Yes, and failed." "Yes, and you burned his cities." "Yes." His honesty felt like a blade with no handle. "Why?" she demanded. "Because the ritual he attempted infected entire districts. The curse spreads like rot through blood. If it had reached the capital, it would have reached you." His voice lowered. "Your father gambled with thousands of lives to save one. And you gambled with thousands to stop him," she shot back. Lucian did not deny it. Silence thickened between them. Then she asked the question that mattered. "Why marry me?" Lucian's gaze flickered to her bandaged hand. "Because the council planned your execution." The air froze. "They feared your bloodline," he continued. "Surviving heir is a rallying point. A banner rebels can gather under. If I left you unclaimed, you would have disappeared within weeks." "And marrying me solved that?" she asked bitterly. "Yes." He stepped closer. "A queen cannot be executed quietly, not without civil fracture." She stared at him, searching for deception. She found none. "You could have told me, and risk you softening toward me." His expression hardened slightly. "The curse waits for affection. Hatred is safer." Her heart skipped. "You think I could ever love you?" Lucian's answer came too quickly. No, it should have relieved her. Instead, it hurt. Before she could respond, the great doors burst open. A guard stumbled inside, bloodied and panicked. "Your Majesty, the council, they've sealed the lower wing." Lucian's expression darkened instantly. "Why?" "They've summoned the blood conclave, ancient rite. They claim the curse worsens because of the Queen's interference." Alara's stomach dropped. This was not investigation. This was rebellion. The council did not want the curse broken. They needed it. A dying king is manageable. A rotting ruler can be guided. But a healed King Lucian Vane, that would be unstoppable. Lucian understood instantly. "They forged the letters," Alara whispered. "Yes. They wanted me to hate you. Yes. They wanted the curse to kill me. Yes. Because if she died after softening toward him, the prophecy would fulfill itself again." Lucian turned to the guard. "Prepare the throne hall, lock the northern gates. No one leaves." He looked at Alara. "You should go to your chambers." "No," she said immediately. The word surprised them both. "If they're rebelling, it's because of me," she continued. "Because of this." She raised her scarred palm. Lucian stepped closer, lowering his voice. "If the curse awakens fully, it will not be gentle." "I've already seen it," she replied. He searched her face one last time as if memorizing it. "You should still hate me," he said quietly. "I don't know what I feel," she admitted. That was more dangerous than hatred. The throne hall filled quickly. Council elders stood in a semicircle chanting words older than the kingdom itself. Dark sigils burned into the marble floor. The air vibrated with ancient magic. Alara stood beside Lucian, refusing to step back. The eldest counselor raised his staff. "King Lucian Vane," he declared loudly, "your bloodline is corrupted. The curse deepens. The Queen's interference destabilizes the realm." Lucian's voice was calm. "You mean it destabilizes your control?" Gasps rippled. "You dare accuse the council," another elder hissed. Lucian's eyes darkened. "I dare state truth." The chanting intensified. Alara felt the temperature drop. Black veins began crawling up Lucian's neck again, faster this time, stronger. The curse was responding not to poison but to tension, to emotion, to her presence. Lucian staggered slightly. His breathing grew heavier. The council smiled. They wanted this. They wanted the curse to consume him publicly, to prove he was unfit, to justify replacing him. Alara stepped forward. "Stop the ritual," she demanded. "You have no authority here," the elder snapped. Lucian's body began changing, bones cracking, wings of shadow tearing through his back, eyes hollowing into ancient darkness. The curse was not just sickness, it was transformation. Knights drew blessed blades, the council prepared to strike. "Alara, move," Lucian growled, voice already deeper, distorted. She did not move. Instead, she cut her palm again. Fresh blood dripped to the floor. She stepped between the knights and the monster her husband was becoming. And for the first time, she did not act out of duty, she acted out of choice. The black veins surged violently toward her. The prophecy trembled in the air. Every previous Vane king had lost the woman he loved before sunrise. This was the moment, the test. The curse roared through Lucian's body. He looked at her through monstrous eyes. "I would rather die than let it take you," he whispered, barely human. Tears slid down her face. "You don't get to decide that," she said. She pressed her bleeding hand against his chest. Golden light exploded outward. The curse screamed. The council shrieked as ancient power shattered through the hall, but something was wrong. The prophecy had never said break with blood. It said break with chosen blood. The difference was everything. The golden light intensified. Lucian's monstrous form convulsed. The council realized too late the curse was not strengthening, it was cracking. And if it broke, so would their control. The hall began collapsing under the surge of power. The rebellion had begun, and it was about to end. The golden light did not glow gently. It detonated. It tore through the throne hall like sunrise, ripping open a coffin lid. The sigils on the marble floor shattered first, cracking like glass beneath a hammer. The council's chanting broke into screams as the curse inside Lucian's veins turned against its makers. Alara did not pull her hand away. She kept it pressed against his chest, even as the heat burned her skin, even as the hall trembled around them. This was no longer duty. This was not survival. This was choice. Lucian's monstrous form twisted violently. Wings of shadow ripped and dissolved into smoke. The black veins that once crawled proudly through his body recoiled like snakes thrown into fire. He roared not in rage but in agony and release. The curse was unraveling thread by thread, and for the first time in centuries it had nowhere to hide. The eldest counselor tried to flee. "Seal the chamber," he screamed. "Contain it." But the magic they summoned refused to obey. The curse did not belong to them anymore. It recognized something stronger, not bloodline, not power. Will. Alara felt it shift beneath her palm, the difference between saving him because she must and saving him because she chose to was everything. She was not trying to heal a king. She was refusing to lose a man. Lucian collapsed to his knees, the monstrous shadow peeling away like burnt parchment. His voice came back slowly, fragile but human. Alara stepped back. "No," the council began their final attempt. Silver spears infused with ancient blessing were raised. If the curse did not kill him, they would. A dead king is cleaner than a free one. One spear flew. Alara turned instinctively, taking the impact against her shoulder. Pain ripped through her body, but she did not fall. Lucian's eyes widened, not with fury but fear. The curse made one last attempt to strike her. It surged toward her heart, but instead of devouring her, it shattered. The sound was not physical. It echoed inside every living thing in the hall, a scream older than language, then silence. Golden light burst outward in a wave that knocked every council member off their feet. The silver spears disintegrated midair. The ancient banners lining the throne room caught flame. Not destructive fire, purifying fire. The elders began to burn, not from sunlight, from exposure. The curse had been their leash. Without it, their centuries of manipulation stood naked. "You needed him weak," Alara whispered, rising slowly despite her wound. "You needed him dying." Lucian stood beside her now, steady for the first time in years. The black veins were gone. His skin no longer carried the faint crack of decay. His eyes were clear. "I was never your puppet," he said quietly. One counselor tried to beg. "Your Majesty, we preserved the realm. You preserved your control," Lucian replied. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. The golden remnants of shattered curse energy still lingered in the air, responding to him. "Exile," he declared calmly. "Those who survive this chamber leave the capital by dawn, never return." Some did not survive the chamber. The hall fell silent except for falling ash. Alara finally staggered. Lucian caught her before she hit the floor. The irony was almost cruel. She had once tried to kill him. Now she had saved him. He looked at the blood staining her shoulder, and something unfamiliar moved across his face. Fear, not for himself, for her. "You should have moved," he murmured. "You would have done the same," she replied weakly. He did not deny it. The throne hall, once echoing with rebellion, now stood cracked and open to the sky. Moonlight poured in through broken glass. Lucian knelt before her, not as king, not as conqueror, but as a man freed from centuries of decay. "I bound you to this throne to protect you," he admitted quietly. "I never meant to ask for your forgiveness." She searched his face. "And if I never forgive you," she asked softly. He inhaled slowly. "Then I will still protect you." The simplicity of that answer did more than grand speeches ever could. She laughed softly despite the pain. "You're impossible." "And you are infuriating," he replied. A small silence settled between them. Not heavy, not hostile, different. He reached for her hand carefully this time, not because he needed her blood, not because magic demanded it, because he wanted to. She let him. The curse did not stir. The prophecy did not answer. For the first time in 1,000 years, House Vane was not rotting from within. It was breathing. Days later, the capital gathered in the great courtyard. News of the council's fall spread faster than fire. Many feared instability. Many expected chaos. Instead, Lucian stood beside Alara openly. "No more hidden decrees," he announced. "No more sealed executions." The crowd watched carefully. Alara stepped forward. Her shoulder was bandaged, but her posture unbroken. "The war between our houses ends today," she declared. "Not because we forget the past, but because we choose the future." It was not weakness. It was defiance. The kingdom did not kneel out of fear that day. They knelt because the curse was gone, because the king stood without rot in his veins, because the queen stood beside him without chains. That night there were no guards outside her door. Lucian paused at the threshold of her chamber. "I can leave," he said quietly, "if you prefer distance." She studied him for a long moment, then she shook her head. No more fear, she said, no more sleeping apart because of ghosts. He stepped inside, carefully, not like a conqueror, like someone entering sacred ground, and when he touched her face it was not hunger, not dominance. It was something he had denied himself for centuries. Hope. He kissed her slowly. Nothing shattered, nothing burned. The curse was gone, and in the quiet aftermath he realized something almost terrifying. He was no longer afraid to love. The next morning sunlight spilled across the palace walls. Lucian stood at the balcony with Alara beside him. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. "Regret what? Saving me." She looked out at the kingdom below. "No," she answered, "but I will make you earn it." A faint smirk touched his lips. That sounds fair. The war had ended, the council had fallen, the curse had shattered. But their story was only beginning, and this time it would not be written in rot, it would be written in choice. If you were the king, would you forgive her? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments. And if this story gripped you, if you felt that final moment when the curse broke and the throne room burned, like, share and subscribe for more dark royal stories where love is more dangerous than war.